you get your beats.
HustleDreamProduction.
Alright you guys, so before you actually start cutting, what you want to do is you want to comb the hair out. Alright, what you're doing is lifting the hair off of the scalp, making it easier for the hair to feed into the teeth of the blade. But also, when it comes to a waver, this is a great opportunity to show whatever waver you're cutting at the time that you know how to comb their pattern. Just because they have waves doesn't mean that all wavers are the same. All wavers' hair do not grow in the same direction, so make sure you understand how to comb their hair and what pattern that they're going for. Also, a waver can just show you how they comb their hair, so if you don't know, just ask. This is major because how you comb is how you're gonna cut down the hair. All right, the direction that you go with combing is the direction that you go with the clipper. By not going in that direction will also lead to causing gaps in the waves and or making the hair shorter than it needs to be. So during the client consultation, I asked my client what length does he want his hair cut down. So he basically told me to use my better judgment. I then asked my client, what did he get before? He said a number 2. So basically I just wanted to give him whatever he had last, whatever he was comfortable with. So I went with a number 2 guard with the lever fully open, and I'm just going in that same direction that I combed in. As I'm cutting, I'm basically staying away from the crown area. All right, the reason why I'm staying away from the crown area is because I want to leave that area thicker. For some reason, every time we cut that area the same length as everything else, it seems to cut that crown area a little bit lower. So I always like to go in and cut it a guard size higher. That way you can keep that crown area nice and thick. So now that I have everything basically cut at a 2, I'm gonna go and attack the crown area with the 3 guard with the lever fully closed using my Andis Masters. Now I'm going around my client's crown because that's the way the waves are going in. All right, you don't want to cut through the crown because that's gonna cause the hair to be bald. All right, you don't want to cut through it because it's kind of like a cowlick. All right, you want to go with the grain of the crown instead of going through it. So after you're done cutting it, what you want to do is give them a slight brush session. That way you kind of put your client at ease, letting them know that you actually care about their waves and you're not just trying to rush through the cut. All right, give them a nice little brush session. You can pick this brush up at 360gz.com. I designed this brush to where you could go around that crown area nice and smooth. All right, and you can actually get it more defined and actually build them waves around your crown area. So when it comes to doing the taper, I always like to keep my taper low because as a waver, we want to keep all the waves to the shoreline as much as possible. So right now I'm using my Babyliss FX and I'm setting in my bald line right at the crease of my client's ear. Next, using my Stylecraft Instinct with the lever fully open, I'm going up about a ½ inch and I'm using my corners the entire time. All right, I'm definitely scooping out because I don't want to dig in and take the fade higher. By scooping out, it actually shows you how much you're taking off. So in the same way that I use the lever open, I'm gonna do the same thing with the one guard with the lever open, go up about a 1/2 inch and make sure I scoop out. Now, the idea is to blend down from this, all right? What you don't wanna do is try to take the bulk out too early and bring that fade up higher, all right? The best thing you could do is start blending down. That way, it won't look bad in the long run when you're finally done. In most cases, you'll find that you didn't even really need to take out the bulk. Right now, I just closed the lever on that one guard and now I'm flicking out using my corners, softening up that middle line. Next, with my zero guard with the lever closed, in a flick out motion, flick out that middle line. Now, as you can see, I'm using my corners the entire time. I'm starting below the line and flicking to the line. So in some cases, the zero guard close just doesn't get everything out. What I like to do is I like to go with my lever open and just kind of detail that area, kind of knocking out those hairs, clearing out some of that bulk. Now with the lever fully closed, in a flick out motion, flick out that bottom line. Now it's gonna be a lot easier, especially if he has thin hair. So I'm just using my corners, just kind of attacking those hairs a little bit. Next, I'm gonna clear out some of this bulk on top by going with the grain with the one guard open. So I see some areas where I could clear out some of that bulk a little bit better. So I went ahead and grabbed my two guard with the lever open and I'm just kind of corner working those areas where I see bulk. So lastly is where you do detail work, all right? I like to detail my work utilizing my mirror. The mirror shows you a different perspective on the blend that you can't see just head on, all right? I like to get in there, use my corners, knock out some of those bulk areas with my corners of my blade, and also the guards. You could utilize those guards as well and use corner work, especially in those areas where you set your guidelines. Now, as far as the back goes, I use the same exact steps that I use on the sides on the back, all right? I start in with my bald line using my Fabulous FX. Then I go in with the lever open using my instincts, making sure I go over the guideline multiple times to ensure that it's at that length. Now in the back, I could use my full blade. I don't have to just use my corners because I'm not working with a small area, all right? The same way you would treat doing a fade is how you would treat doing the back taper. Now using a one guard, going up, scooping out. I'm just going over the guidelines multiple times to make sure it's at that length, all the while brushing down as I go. So just like the sides, I don't want to strictly focus on that bulk at the top. I want to make sure that he has waves all the way down to the shoreline as possible. So I'm going to start by closing that lever and focusing on blending down, focusing on that middle line, softening it up so it'd be easier to take it out with the zero guard close. All right, now that I put on the zero guard close in a flick out motion, I'm flicking out that middle line and it's much more easier now that it's softened up. Now with the lever fully closed and a flick out motion, flick out that bottom line. Start below the line and flick to the line. And if you need to adjust your lever as you go up. Now when it comes to a straight hair waver, I like to clipper over comb the back area. That way it kind of gives out a flared out look instead of a kind of I don't know what to call it, but I like to keep as much wave as possible and give that flared out look instead of it being like just blended into the waves. So right now I'm gonna fine tune my clipper over comb, fine tune that bulk area, and grab my 2-guard and basically just clean up that area at the top. Lastly, I'm just gonna do some detail work. All right, I'm gonna go in those areas where I see bulk using my 1-guard and basically just clear out those areas with my corners. Now when it comes to the lineup, I like to prep my line using some hairspray. I like to spray a little bit on my client's hair, wait till dry, basically blow dry it, and then start lining my client up. When it comes to the lineup, I always start from the middle and go outward. I never start from one side to the next side, meaning I never start from the left side and go all the way to the right side. I always start in the middle. That way it's a shorter distance on either end.
Where you get your beats?
HustleDreamProduction.
up the back of the nape area, I always like to start at the bottom, and this is because I'm just starting on what's comfortable for my hand ratio, meaning like I'm using my right hand, so the best way I could get a complete circle using the wrist motion is if I start from the bottom up. That's just how I do it. You have to do what's comfortable for you though.
Where you get your beats?
HustleDreamProduction.
So when it comes to using enhancements, the enhancements that I use are Kiss Express Black, and I basically use 50-50, all right? 50% alcohol, 50% Kiss Express. How I apply it is I use my card and my spray gun. Now, the way I angle my spray gun is basically in a 45-degree angle. I'm not spraying directly on my client's head. I'm kind of misting it at a 45-degree angle so that it's just not clunked and cluttered up. You know what I mean? You don't want to spray directly in it. You want to spray at an angle. So to the beginners out there, it took me a long time to use this blade. I wasn't really, moving this quick with the blade at first, but really, you just have to stretch the skin and really glide that blade across the skin and trust that you will not dig in on that client. You know what I mean? It takes practice. It takes some getting used to. We're all not pros at first, so just take your time. Just know that you're gonna get better with each cut. watch here. I spin them in a full 360 and they come out looking like
God did.
YouTube. This is the cut. And if you like it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. Also, Hustle Dreams Production, that's my brother. He does all my beats. His YouTube channel will be linked in the description below. Make sure you guys go give him a follow. Also, if you want to know where you can find any tools that you've seen in this video, links will be in the description below. Otherwise, you guys can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. My TikTok is official360Jeezy and my Instagram is 360Jeezy. But it's your boy 360Jeezy, and I'm out of here.